Live from the House of LeMay Makeup and Dressing Room.
Here comes Amber. Stop what you're doing. Here comes Amber. She's just doing what she can. Here comes Amber. Cue the spotlight. Here comes Amber with 2 drinks in her hand. The matriarch of fashion, sequins to her glasses, you can't look away. Ask her, does she do it? There's really nothing to it. She's got that feminine yay. If you have a party, or if you're feeling naughty, call up the House of LeMay. Here comes your favorite gal. Here comes your queen. Here comes your talk of the town. And we're live tonight. The music starts playing. It's time for cabaret on Amber Live tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please turn off all cell phones and get ready for your host, Amber LeMay.
Who is grooming and molesting children? The facts point that the high percentage of offenders are ministers, priests, and others associated with religious education. Tyler Selby, a worship leader at a Baptist church in Mississippi, was arrested on federal charges of producing child pornography. He is accused of producing a video that shows him in a tub with a young boy committing sexual acts. Online, Selby, a married family man, posed as a 17-year-old girl named Emma Long. To obtain child sexual abuse materials, he shared a video of Emma's 5-year-old sister engaging in sexual activity to entice others. Who would you trust your child with? A youth pastor or a drag queen?
A role that I always longed to play was Mary Haynes in Claire Booth Luce's play The Women, the role Norma Shearer played in the film. It was a very different but especially memorable experience to appear in the play for one-night benefit performance for the Coyote Stageworks in Palm Springs, with an all-star cast including Lucy Arnaz, Lorna Luft, Michelle Lee, Florence Henderson, and Kay Ballard. I shared a dressing room with Lorna, Michelle, and Lucy. Garbed in a chic, form-fitting black cocktail dress, I was straightening my seams when Michelle complained that it wasn't fair that I was the only one in the cast to be mic'd. "What are you talking about?" I asked her. "I'm not mic'd." Michelle, in all seriousness, pointed to an area below my waist and said, "I see the mic pack." It was necessary to diplomatically inform the lady, "Michelle, that's my dick." End of chapter.
Hi there, Amber LeMay. Welcome to fall and welcome to Amber Live. Do we have a great show for you tonight? But first, I want you to like, share, subscribe. You can do it. Thank you very much. Now, what do hot dogs, wine, and outhouses have in common? No, not a family reunion gone bad. They're all a part of this week's news briefs. Recall, back in May, the Kraft Heinz Company made a surprising announcement. After 87 years, they were changing the name of one of their most beloved icons. Their Wienermobile would now be known as the Frankmobile. The name change was meant to pay homage to the brand's 100% beef franks and their new recipe. They made the announcement via Instagram by saying, "It's been a Franktastic summer, but like you, we missed the wonderful icon. Help us welcome back the Wienermobile." I'm glad they mustered up courage to catch up with the obvious public opinion. What could possibly be your worst fear? Losing a $1,000 Apple Watch? Or perhaps getting stuck in an outhouse toilet? What if both happened to you at the same time? A woman was rescued from the outhouse toilet in northern Michigan after she climbed in to retrieve her Apple Watch and became trapped. The woman, whose name was not released, lowered herself inside the toilet after dropping the watch at the Department of Natural Resources boat launch. First responders were called when the woman was heard yelling for help. The toilet was removed and a strap was used to haul the woman out. It was not reported if the woman suffered injuries or if the watch was recovered. However, the state police commented, "If you lose an item in the outhouse toilet, do not attempt to venture inside the containment area. serious injury may occur. I guess. Now, watch this.
Arrebentou a cara. Só pode ter sido, Omar. Foi a tata, arrebentou.
No, that's not the result of an outhouse being tipped over. That is 2.2 million liters of wine that escaped from 2 tanks in a small Portuguese city that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. The large amount of wine was being stored at the distillery through the government's crisis distillation program, which aims to use incentive funds to remove a glut of wine from the market pipeline before the year's harvest. Did you know that Portugal has the world's highest wine consumption rate per capita? But the consumption is in a free fall, down 34%, citing inflation and other pressures. Large countries such as France and Germany are also seeing double-digit declines. In America, not so much. And that's this week's news briefs. And now it's time for Russell. Russell, come on in.
Hey, Amber, I'm glad it's time for me. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Like I said, it's fall now, and so it's a little crispier in the air. And but you know, that's a part of it, living in Vermont.
And we've had a lot of rain down here from that storm that went through. So hopefully some sun this weekend, because I'm supposed to be hanging out with some friends. So.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. All right, Russell, we've got some new viewers tonight. Where's the best way to watch?
Well, the best place to watch is on YouTube, and that's youtube.com/AmberLive. And the reason for that is because when you're watching on YouTube, Amber's in full HD, and there's the chat room. And we encourage you to go in the chat room, find your friends there, make new friends, talk to Amber, talk to me. We're all there having a great time, and the chat room is a lot of fun, and it really enhances the show. You can ask us questions. And then after the show, you can go to our TikTok, our Instagram, our Facebook, and even our great new website, amberlive.tv. And you can also listen to the interviews. You can listen to Amber on podcasts all over the place, anywhere they're found. Just look for the Amber Live interviews. Now, I mentioned our website, and I do want to tell people we've got a new section there. That's an LGBTQ section with about 90 new pages of mostly, so far, it's a lot of the interviews that have been done in the past, but it's all broken out by politicians, actors, arts. So go check it out. It's really growing quickly. And it's a lot of fun, a lot of great interviews to see there. You can find all your favorites.
And Russell, another reason to watch on YouTube is that, like last week, we had Charles Bush on, and we played this clip of him singing a song. Facebook cut out the music, you know, and so you want to and we've got music in this week's show as well. So you want to get over to YouTube to watch it so you don't miss a thing.
We got some great music in this week.
Yeah. All right.
What's all that great music? I know where you were going is our bustiers, and we love the bustiers. We want to thank all our bustiers, and we want to encourage you to become a bustier. Or if you are a bustier, how about making a second donation or a third donation or a fourth? You can use that Venmo at RJD Pro to make your donation, or you can go to amberlive.tv and look for the support Amber Live and the donate button and use your credit card there. Any amount helps, but Amber does have bills every month, so it would be great if you could help us out and help keep this going and growing, because we're getting bigger all the time.
All right, Russell, tell us about tonight's guests.
Oh my goodness, do we have two great guests tonight. And the first one up is Danny Alias, who is a musician, and Danny has and poet, and Danny has a bunch of albums out there, quite the history, including working with Frankie Knuckles, and it's incredible. And Danny has a big announcement and the world premiere of a brand new music video that we're going to release tonight for our guests. So I hope you all enjoy it. And then we've got a great interview with Pickle. And you're going to go, what's a Pickle? Pickle is a drag queen and the drag laureate of LA, just newly Do you crown a laureate? Or
I think so.
a laureate as of July. And so Pickle is coming on to tell us all about her life and career and what a drag laureate is.
Fascinating interviews, both of them, and I can't wait to get them started. Let's show Danny Alias right now. Danny Alias is an American house music artist and playwright. In 1984, he co-founded Persona Records with David Bell and released the single Civil Defense, an early example of Chicago house music, which was played by DJ Ron Hardy. The label went on to release the first 2 singles by Jimmy Principle and Frankie Knuckles, Waiting on My Angel and Your Love. He's still at it, and he wants to talk about his newest project, Bedbug Love. Danny, come on in.
Hey, Amber.
I like Danny. That's Dwayne Scott Cerny.
Danny Alias, Dwayne Scott Cerny.
Oh, man. Russell, they're screwing with me.
In the best of ways, Amber.
All right.
That introduction was wonderful.
So 1984.
Yes. So in the 1980s, I had a small record label, and what people now say that it was one of the first house music labels, or the first house music label. I think it was one of the first, but it might have been the first. And that kind of launched us on a whole musical adventure for a number of years. And signing. Okay,
let's back up. Sure. Define house music for me. What
house music is definitely a Chicago sound. It's when you think about what happened to when you couldn't call it disco anymore, right? So like really hard pounding disco, house music. But then that would be, that would grow globally. It's insane what house music has become. I mean, Usher has a house album. Major artists now put out house albums. It's just it's more synthesizers and heavy drum beats, and you know when you hear it.
Now you said you started this record label. Now, were you a performer at the time when you started it, or did you?
And thank you for the shout out to David Bell. Who's actually a cousin of a friend of mine, and he came to see me at a poetry reading, and he said, "Oh, you're kind of fun. Why don't we go around to bars and do this?" And I was like, "Really?" So we started doing that, and then he had the idea of my doing original poetry to just instrumental tracks. So we started doing that, and then it was, we should record some of these things, but we should have our own music. And that's how all that started, from basically coffee houses. That's how we kind of got our feet into it. And then people started hearing about it. And once we, Civil Defense became a hit in a very small hit. I want to say like 15 seconds of the 15 minutes in Europe. But it was, though we had a video for it, and it was played on Rupert Murdoch. God, he's still alive. On his Sky channel 7 times a day. Wow. So we get a lot of exposure. And honestly, to this day, I still sell probably more music there than here.
Now, in 1984, did you release these on 8 tracks, or what was the format?
Because things had changed. We did singles, or cassettes.
Oh,
right? So there were singles where you'd get like a song on each side and maybe a bonus track or something. And then we were actually having records pressed in vinyl, pressed in New York, because I just felt the quality was better. And my approach to all of this was that the whole what was being produced in Chicago needed to sound better and look better. It just needed to be dressed up and taken to dinner. So that's kind of what I think our talent was between David and I. David had a fantastic ear for talent and spotting people, and then people again started coming to us. And then Frankie Knuckles came to a release party for Civil. All
right, back up. I've heard the name of Frankie Knuckles, but I know other people have too. But who was Frankie Knuckles?
Frankie Knuckles is now regarded as the preeminent house DJ of all time. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but in that same respect, he had a fantastic ear and was always looking for new talent. He didn't, as a it's only now that DJs can get these like 6-figure salaries. Yeah. They didn't then. They did well, but as far as being like a DJ could be a star, that was rather a new thing. And I would say he was probably the big star. And then of course he moved to New York and became even bigger.
Now, what was he, a DJ on the radio or a DJ in the clubs?
In the clubs. But once we signed him and started recording his things, then you could hear him on the radio. So we brought him to that. And the Jamie Principal, who he had discovered, an extremely talented young man. And our goal with that was to bring him to a major label, which I am happy to say we did. And that is no small feat. And he went on to have his own career once he was done with us. He was done. But we were that stepping stone that he needed.
Russell has some pictures to show. Russell, show them to us.
So this is an interview I did in a magazine called Wax Poetic. It's a great title for a magazine. And about myself and David, and the author said, "We're pillars of the underground."
Quite dashing there, Dwayne Scott.
Yeah, well, 15, 20 minutes in the 80s. This is in front of a recording studio. They had done up the windows for a promotion.
Was that like fake snow and then they put a stencil up there?
Artificial graffiti.
Okay.
So let's skip ahead a little bit. So into 2012, I was approached by a French music label, and they wanted to assemble all the mixes that were done of Civil Defense. And I didn't realize that because it was my song. I thought, well, somebody mixed it, it's their song. No, it doesn't work that way. It's still my song. So there's about half a dozen different DJs and some prominent DJs. Ivan Smagghe, who's very highly regarded in France, of Kill the DJ, and Get a Room, which are it's a pair of guys that are very prominent European DJs. They've got tracks on there. So it's a compilation album just of one song.
Now, are these songs still available somewhere?
Oh yeah, it's Spotify, Apple Tunes, My Driveway.
So you're still getting some coin off of these.
Well, here's the thing. So here's an original one that was just flashed up there, right? That was the first one, and I hand painted every one with that luminescent paint. And if you can find one, they're like $250 online. You can find one. So I have one. And then I would license music to various labels. So I had a single on Terra Incognita, which they released something called Big Brother. It was a parody song of Laurie Anderson's Oh Superman. Who would do a parody song of a Laurie Anderson song? Only me.
Now, Dwayne, you started this record company. What were you doing before then that gave you the acumen to start a recording studio?
I was a paralegal, and I was working with a lot of lawyers, and two of them wanted to become music attorneys. I think this is kind of funny. And so I said, well, you know what? I mean, we've been thinking about doing this label. Why don't you come with us at a reduced rate, and you guys can learn the background of how to do this, as far as some of the things I just figured out as far as licensing music, but then we brought those guys in, and they were definitely helpful, but they were a little green. I've just always been that entrepreneurial thing. I was still doing legal word processing, so I had some income, and this is something I just did on the side until it kind of became too much, as things often do. You will know.
Yes.
That is Jamie Principal's Your Love. And you see what I mean as far as just putting out a regular 12-inch cutout, sleeve of nothing. I thought that wouldn't do it. And then when that came out, we were selling 1,000 copies of that record a day in Chicago. The kids would just line up around the court. We ran out of records over a weekend. And then having them pressed in New York. So the distribution was kind of wonky on my end because we really weren't prepared for a hit.
I know you like to go to vintage stores or you have one of your own. Have you ever run across any of your records?
I have not. Other dealers have. And of course, then they're running over with, what's this worth? And go to Discogs. Go on Discogs and see what it's worth. And this is the album I released in 2021, which is Beat the Poet. And the music video that you're going to see is the first video single off of that. I think you'll recognize maybe someone else.
So that album came out. Are they called albums? Is that
albums? It's an EP.
Okay.
Yeah.
That came out in 21, and so how did that do? How did you market that?
It was difficult because again, just everything has changed. So and keeping up with it all. So it did all right. But I also didn't do a whole lot to promote it. I was in the middle I was trying to finish my first book had come out in 2019. And so I was kind of in the middle of marketing that. And I just didn't feel I could do both accurately. Here's a guy with the same face. Isn't he somebody?
Okay, now tell us about Bedbug Love.
So Bedbug Love, I wrote during the AIDS crisis, and it might seem odd, but I think the lyrics reflect it. And when COVID came along, it seemed even more relevant. And my good friend Mark Contorno, who helps me with many things, many of my projects, he's been on me for ages to do a music video, and I'm going no. Till we came up with an idea for it that felt right. And there's a line in it, and it's in a scourge, you don't feel the urge. In the same way. And enough time had passed. I felt it was, let's just say politically correct enough. And it might seem like how could this guy be talking about that? But I wanted to approach a topic in a different way. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a look at it.
Here we go. World premiere, folks.
It started like a Bible curse and crawled up from across the earth that barely said hello or goodbye. It reached inside my inner ear, then turned up in the atmosphere. It didn't give a when or a why. I tried to shake it from my head and give up all my dreams for dead, but crazy drove me half insane. These dirty demons danced inside my broken guts were just a ride and burrowed deeper into my brain. Now there's no running from the powers that be. I'm in love with you, and you're in bedbug love with me. With me. Get me out of bedbug love. You're down, if you don't, the rest won't. Praying on what you just prayed. Blame it on the left side, blame it on the right side, blame it on what's left of the day. I'm falling downtown, lost my town, acting like a dead clown, dancing through my life on the stage. Blame it on my insides, blame it on my outsides, blame it on the pulse of the age. And in a scourge, you don't feel the urge.
safe, this hallowed nation. Don't fight the bites of bedbug love. And since when was your salivation ever worth a spit?
I'm feeling down, down, go downtown, dancing with the dead down, dancing through my life on a stage. Blame it on my inside, blame it on my outside, blame it on the pulse, blame it on the pulse of the age.
Well, long-time Amber Live viewers might recognize that dancer as our friend Jack.
Yeah. Is he amazing?
I love the suit, too.
The suit is great. The suit is great.
Oh, my gosh. How much fun is that?
Oh, thank you. It was fun to make. And Russell's the director of this. We should put that out there, and editor. And wow, everyone's worked so hard on it. And that's my friend Mark at the typewriter.
Okay. So where does it go from here? What are you going to do with that?
Oh gosh, well, it's going to be entered into a whole bunch of different music video contests, and just getting it out there. Obviously, YouTube, and there's so many streaming services. So I think it'll give the album a little shot in the arm that it needed, and that mix is by Bionic. Who's a fairly well-known musician, and his name is Stefan Taylor, but he goes by the name Bionic. Everybody has all these names. How do we keep track of all this?
And if you want to see it, it is on the Amber Live YouTube channel as well, premiering tonight.
Tonight. You're the first to see it, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Make sure you like and share it. Okay, make sure you do that with that video. Dwayne Scott Sony, thank you so much for joining us tonight. That's a great song. Love seeing Jack move like that.
He's a star.
I can't wait for the making of Bedbug Love, the documentary behind that.
First, I have to make my bed to get around to that.
All right, Dwayne, thank you for tonight, and also thank you for all you contribute to Amber Live. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you very much. Danny Alias, Dwayne Scott Cerny, Jack. Whoa, what a great interview. Great music video, too. So make sure you share that with your friends. Russell, come on in.
Hey, surprise! Danny Alias is Dwayne Scott Cerny. What a career the man has.
Who knew? Who knew? What else do we have coming up?
Oh, we have a lot more coming up. There's the incredible interview with Pickle. We've got Amber's Altar-cations still to come. We've got Rocco. We've got Boog and Shoog. There's just everything still coming. So much more. Don't go away. And I do want to remind people, you can still become a bustier. It's never too late. Use that Venmo at RJD Pro, or go to the amberlive.tv website and look for the donate button. Your donations help keep us going, and we really appreciate it. So thank you to all our bustiers. And the other way you can always help is go check out that Amber Live store, where we're putting up new products all the time. There's great t-shirts and mugs and iPhone cases or cell phone cases. There's a little bit of everything there. You can spread amber, help us spread amber all over the place.
Spread away.
Yes. So, and now let's go to Amber's Altar-cations.
Altar-cations is our weekly reporting of members of the religious community, not the drag queens, who are grooming and molesting the children. Nicholas Coral, a California Baptist youth pastor, Christian school teacher, and coach, was arrested for sexual battery of a child on church property. He was booked on suspicion of felony, lewd, and lascivious acts with a child under 14 years of age and was being held in lieu of a $1 million bail. I wonder if he's laughing now. Daryl Redding of Ocala, Florida, was arrested after two underage girls described the sexual abuse they endured at his hands. Redding, a pastor at the Progressive Union Baptist Church, was charged with 2 counts of sexual battery of a child under the age of 12, a count of sexual battery of a teenager under the age of 18, and lewd and lascivious battery of a child more than 12 and less than 16. Kendall Kippen, a youth pastor at Jake's House Church in Arlington, Washington, was convicted of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old girl at his church and was sentenced to 14 months in prison. The judge found the pastor guilty of third-degree rape of a child. Where are children safer? In a church with these guys? Or at Drag Queen Story Hour? And now the interview with Pickle, the LA drag queen. Her name is Pickle, and she not only leads the Los Angeles Drag Story Hour, but recently became America's second drag laureate. Here's a bit of her act.
Whether I'm... Does this work? Not slick back, no. Hey, does this work? Yes! Yes!
Out of my own misery.
Oh, come on. Calm down, queen. Let's put the Glock away.
Why don't you just sit down and rest your granny cankles while I finish up? Okay, good.
Yes, Theo said he saw them over at Cheeseburger Sally's.
Cheeseburger Sally's. Love their fries.
But when I asked her about it, she lied to me.
How could she hang with that fucking thief?
Well,
I don't know Bible references, honey. I was raised Buddhist.
you're a fucking traitor.
A Judas.
Judas?
From the Bible.
Yeah, I know, from the fucking Bible.
You were with Jezebel.
Jezebel, also from the Bible. She is. Gotta read that book. Ladies.
Sorry, Jules, 1 second. You have to unlock it by hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
He keeps talking about RuPaul's Drag Race or something. Ah, yes, we've seen this before. Has he been exposed to an anxiety medication called Crisis Control? It exploits illegal nanobot technology to attack the central nervous system. The user experiences hallucinations of a strange world called RuPaul's Drag Race, where the men wear elaborate costumes.
Let's get singing!
There's dancing and lip syncing. This drug creates in the user an obsession with Zamolochikova. Oh no! We're sending someone over immediately.
That's Pickle the drag queen.
Is that like hair glued onto you? I can't reveal my secrets. It's just sitting on my head. Like a dead animal.
Why aren't you wearing shoes?
Unfortunately, Pickle couldn't join us today, so she sent her surrogate, Joseph. Joseph, come on in.
Hello. Thank you for coming, Amber. So glad
Thank you, Joseph. Tell us, what did we just watch?
That was my unupdated reel that I got on my website, I guess. Those were 3 or 4 video projects that I did. So the first was a Dollar Shave Club commercial, and then there was a short film that I was in called 3 Queens, and then a short that my friend made, Ian, called Pink Mirror, and I played like some technology person.
So tell us the history of Pickle. Where did she start?
Pickle, I started with Pickle about 8 years ago. I started dabbling in drag in college. I played a couple parts in musicals that called for drag roles. And when I started doing it in those shows, I really felt very activated by it. So I explored it more in college, and then I decided to commit to doing it. I really feel that it's the art form that resonates the most with me. And so that's kind of where I got my start.
Tell us about your early gigs. What did you do? What did you perform?
I started at this like dive bar in Highland Park called the Offbeat, and they do this night called Exposure Drag. It's still going every Monday night. It's been going for 8 years. And I was one of the OG exposure girls, and we just were really just the blind leading the blind in there, just, you know, going in there on Monday nights and dolling up and lip syncing, and through doing that I just sort of built this sort of sensibility, the Pickle sensibility, which is all about comedy and authenticity and connecting with audiences, and I've just built from there. Yeah.
Does Pickle have any role models that she likes to emulate?
Certainly. I looked up to Carrie Fisher growing up a lot. She was very special to me. Her special Wishful Drinking and her books, I read all of them. Of course, I love Star Wars as well. I think what really connected with me was this level of, she does comedy, it's funny, but it's very authentic to her. Like, she doesn't really lie. It's all from her life and her experience. So she's not so much making jokes as she is making a joke of being alive. And I love her form of storytelling, and I try to commit that to what I do. So definitely Carrie Fisher. I used to watch Married with Children, so there's a little bit of Peg Bundy, I think, yeah, in the back of my head as well, because it came on before The Simpsons, so I would watch it.
On top of your head too, I see a little Peg Bundy as well.
Yeah, there's a little Peg Bundy in the hair. It's good. I mean, you know, with drag, it's like, you know, the bigger the hair, the more kind of petite my face looks. But the Peg Bundy was the master of that.
You sing. Rather than lip sync, you choose to sing. Tell me about that choice.
I do. I love to sing. I've always loved singing. One of the things that I love about drag is that I didn't start singing in drag, and I didn't really think of myself as a singer before doing drag. I was always kind of shy with my voice, and then doing drag, I wanted to start singing because I love musical theater. I enjoy the act of singing, but I never felt like I was a good enough singer to do it. And just through doing drag, it sort of didn't matter as much, the quality of the singing. And so I really committed myself to doing it. And then I discovered that, you know, people respond well to my voice. So I worked really hard at it. It's not something that's ever come naturally to me. I've had to work really hard to sing well. And but now I love doing it. There's something about the work that goes into it, and it just removes that extra layer between me and the audience and them hearing me. So I really thank Pickle for opening me up to that. I came from a very musical family. My dad is a bass player. My little brother plays drums, and my sister plays piano. So their music was always a part of my life, but I didn't think that it really belonged to me until I was doing drag and was able to claim that.
Now, do you see Pickle ever performing in a musical theater piece?
Yeah, I love the idea of being Pickle playing a role. I've done films and mostly I've done a few short films, and I've done sort of acting projects as Pickle. I think that it would be a lot of fun. I would love, there are a few roles that I would love to play in musicals. Very particular. I'm not interested in being an actor. Like, that's not what I identify with. But I enjoy musicals so much. I would love to play Lola in Damn Yankees. I think that would be a great part for Pickle, or The Witch in Into the Woods. I think those Those would be good. Any part where there's a little bit of a nod to the audience, I think, is important for me as a performer. I have a hard time with the fourth wall.
We have a clip of you singing. Let's hear that. Oh my, what a band you have. Tell me about, how did you get a band like that?
Yeah, it's like anytime I pursue something, it's just never enough. You know, it's like when I started singing, when I was lip syncing in drag, it's like it wasn't enough, so I started singing. And then when I was singing in drag, I was like, well, the tracks are limiting me, so I started doing it with a piano player. And then just over time, I just added and added and added. Until now, I actually work with a 10-piece band, and it's hard to, it's made it challenging because it's like you can't just roll up to a club on like a Monday night for $50 with a 10-piece band. But you know, it really adds a lot. As I mentioned, I come from a musical family, and the drummer is actually my brother Charlie, who is at USC. So they're all USC students that he knows, and I connected with a piano player, and we put together this show. It's called Pickle with a P, which is what that's from, and it's that extra dimension of get it, because Victor, the piano player, Victor Bucacello, he arranges. So we in the rehearsals, we were able to, you know, not only are we doing the songs, but we're doing unique arrangements. So like I've always been attracted to orchestration, not like writing orchestrations, but the brass and the strings. And so it's cool because not only are we getting to do the songs, we're getting to do our interpretations of the songs, you know, and in rehearsal we'll be like, you know, we have a lot of humor in it. So the for example, the flute player was sort of offhandedly playing the theme, Princess Leia's theme from Star Wars in rehearsal, and I was like, wait, do that again. And like, I was like, where are we gonna add that? Because I love Carrie Fisher. And so we like added it to this moment in a song where it like stops and suddenly he gets up and he like plays the theme beautifully. And it's just that kind of collaboration that's added a lot to the work.
How fun, how fun. All right, we have some pictures that we'd like to show, and please give us a commentary on the pictures. Russell, if you'd run those. Oh my.
That's me as a baby. I used to dress up. I'm not sure if you did. Did you dress up when you were a kid?
Perhaps.
I feel like that's kind of a prerequisite. It's like my sister and I used to dress up, and I played this character named Judge Jody because my name is Joe, and she was kind of running the show. I didn't necessarily have a choice. I was kind of like, I enjoyed putting on the dresses for sure and dancing around. But I was cast by her to play Judge Jody, and she was kind of, I think, like a prince or something.
Next picture.
Oh yeah, that's a picture by Caitlin Hernandez, who wrote the LAist story on me becoming the drag laureate. So that's my dad's dining room that I was house sitting at the time, and I was like, oh perfect, so the photos will make it look like I live in a really nice house, which is a little bit of deception. But there I'm showing the dress that I wore to accept the laureateship, and yeah, that's the dress. And that's a photo by Magnus Hastings in the crosswalk in West Hollywood. And we had to get that shot, we had to like run during the green light. And actually he photoshopped it out, but my friend Darwin is holding that up. You can't see him in the shot because he got edited out, but my friend was holding up that backdrop, and we kind of wanted it to look a little bit like Queen Elizabeth in like postage stamps, because I love the idea of kind of poking fun at the pomp and ceremony. That's me with Adina.
Okay, I think you cut out there. So who was that again?
Sorry, that's Adina Menzel and her sister, whose name is Adina Menzel's sister. So I feel like this is a gotcha moment. I'm like, Kara, Adina Menzel and Kara Menzel, we did a reading together of their book, Loud Mouse, at the local library. It was a lot of fun.
Tell us more about your drag story hour. How did you get started with that?
Drag story hour, which has just become such a core part of my life, I can't tell you how much of a coincidence it was that I started doing it. This woman, Michelle T, had started the organization in San Francisco with Radar Productions. And then it was about a year later, or half a year, that her friend here in LA, Michael, was like, I want to do a drag story hour, because he had kids. And there wasn't any drag story hour in Los Angeles. And so his friend was my stepmom, and he was like, do you know any drag queens? I don't know any drag queens. And she was like, I think my stepson is a drag queen. And so then they called me, and they were like, do you want to read for kids? And this was back when, it was only like such and such years ago, but it's pretty recently. But that was when Drag Story Hour wasn't like very much on the radar. It was very new. And so I hadn't heard of this idea, but they were like, do you want to read to kids? And it seemed so logical to me. I was like, that's just such a great idea. I love kids. I love performing for them. So I said yes. And so I was the first reader here in LA. And then, about a year later, there was so much demand for the program. And Michael was like, I just wanted to do the one. I didn't really want to run this organization. So they asked me to do it. And it's been just like one of the great joys of my life. It's such an important program and such an honor to not only participate as a performer, but also to help other performers participate in it and expand it the way we have.
We've had several readers from all over the country on the show as well. And we know the importance of that program. Now tell me about being a drag laureate. What's a drag laureate?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Amber. The chief duty of a drag laureate is to explain what a drag laureate is, actually. So basically, you've heard of a poet laureate, I'm sure. So like a poet laureate, any laureate is someone who's recognized kind of at the top of their field as a representative. So the government, in this instance, the city of West Hollywood, selected me as a representative, as kind of like an ambassador between the government and an art form. So the principal idea behind a laureateship is to promote the art form on a public level. So it's like to expand the footprint of drag in the city of West Hollywood, to expand the role of drag artists in the culture of West Hollywood, to connect drag artists to more and more interesting opportunities, and to really see how we can expand it. So there's me functioning as kind of a figurehead. So they bring me out, like they haul me out on floats and stuff to like interact with the community. And then there's also the community work that I do. We've started these drag artist roundtables where we've been, we had our first one last week. It was a lot of fun. We're hoping to get more and more artists involved, but it was a really interesting conversation where we all came together and we kind of talked about, this first one was focused on design. So we talked about how we approach making looks and what resources we use to share with each other. And then also we talked about opportunities that we want to see for drag artists. So we're putting together a proposal to bring to the Arts Commission of the city to be like, hey, we want to there should be a drag grant. Like, because drag has been so historically relegated to spaces like nightclubs and bars because they were the only safe spaces for queer people to do this kind of art. And now more and more, as it's stepping into the sunlight, it's like, we need to be there's nothing wrong with performing drag in nightclubs and bars. That's great. It's going to be a staple of the art form for a long time. But there's other spaces where the art should be also expanding to, and spaces that really have the economy to allow drag artists to put on the kind of show they want to. You know, in bars and nightclubs, the margins are so, like, you know, they're operating in tight margins, so you can't delegate as many resources to the actual art of drag. It falls on the artist to finance their own drag. So we want to create opportunities like grants where we give drag artists the chance to explore their art more deeply and have a bigger impact on the community in what they do and who has access to it. So we were putting together, like, you know, obviously you have to come up with, like, well, what is that? Like, what is a drag grant? What should the project be doing? What are the kind of tenets of drag? Like, what makes it drag? And it's just been a really fun conversation.
How long does your reign as drag laureate last?
my tyranny. My console for life. I decree myself. It's a 2-year term, so it's a 2-year commitment. And I started in July, so we will inaugurate the next drag laureate in July of 2025.
All right, you're very out there, whether it be you're singing on stage with that 10-piece band at the Drag Story Hour or as a drag laureate. Have you run into any resistance like we've seen in the rest of the country?
No, yeah, I have. Yes, there's definitely, I have been kind of a target of a lot of negative attention from the right. They kind of see me in this region as sort of like, they see me with the kids a lot. So I also have the dubious pleasure of being like one of the Getty images of Drag Story Hour. So I get a lot of friends sending me articles being like, I didn't know you were in Scotland. And it's like a Scottish, like, Breitbart article about, like, drag queen attacks children. And it's me. And I'm just like, nope. So I get pulled into it in that way a lot. And yeah, there's definitely not as much as, you know, of course, the legislation being passed in these other states is affecting drag artists in those areas much more immediately and with greater effect. But I definitely experience a lot of the pushback. I really don't engage with it at all. I really don't. My policy for that kind of PR is just to ignore it. This is the vocal minority. People do not see drag as a threat on a bigger level. It's being used.
All right, so in one of those clips that we saw in the introduction, you mentioned RuPaul's Drag Race. 1, what's your take? And 2, will you ever appear on it?
Oh, yeah. I will say for the record that was a line that I had to say. No, but yes, I love RuPaul's Drag Race. I think it's wonderful. RuPaul is one of my idols. I really look up to her. I think that she's, you know, of course there's been controversy surrounding it, which is what happens to any artist at that level. But I really do believe that no one hosts like RuPaul. Like, you know, she's kind of untouchable in a lot of ways. I am a fan of the show. I'm not a fan of every aspect of the show. You know, obviously it's like anything. You know, I'm kind of a nerd. I listen to a lot of, like, economic podcasts and, like, follow tech news. So I'm not as, like, pop culture obsessed, but I enjoy the platform that it's given drag artists. And I actually am auditioning this year for the first time in a while. I used to audition when I had started drag and was nowhere near ready for it. But now that I make all my costumes and things, I was like, you know, that the timing would be good now. So yeah, I'm going to audition and throw my hat in the ring, and I would love to go on the show. I would love to win the show. I'm not like, I don't do things for, like, you know, I wouldn't be doing it for exposure. That would be great. But, like, I wouldn't go on if I didn't think I could win. You know, I don't enter races that I don't really feel that I could do. And you know, the last few years that I've passed on auditioning is because I was like, I don't think I could win. You know, I don't feel like I could nail every challenge. And now, I'm not saying that I would do perfectly if I went on, but I think that it's like Alyssa Edwards said, like, you know, winning isn't everything, wanting to is. I think a lot of people make the mistake of going on the show thinking that it's going to be their ticket. But it's like, you know, it's a show. It's like anything. Every opportunity has ups and downs, and you know, it's just a tiny piece. That's my attitude about all the opportunities I've had. You know, it's just a tiny piece of a bigger picture, and can't get wrapped up in that. But my take on the show is that, you know, I think it's more positive than it is negative. I think that, you know, there's a lot of criticism about the appropriation of queer culture or the homogenization of drag, but I think this is a natural step in drag becoming more and more mainstream, and with time we're seeing more shows like We're Here and Legendary that take new pieces of drag and present it in these different ways. It's just going to be more and more, and it so happens that RuPaul was the first kind of big mainstream venture into that, but I think it's really great, and I'm a huge fan. I think she's hysterical. I think she's so fun and has done so much for that community, and I think it's great.
Well, we wish you luck in your audition. We'd love to have you back after you win the next round and tell us all about it. Joseph, you and Pickle are amazing with what you do. Congratulations and good luck on your reign of tyranny as drag laureate of West Hollywood. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amber. Likewise. Thank you for all the work that you're doing to promote all these artists. And I love your look, by the way. You're so fabulous.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
I love talking to drag queens from all over the country. I learned so much, and Pickle taught me a lot. Thank you, Pickle. Now, I wonder if Rocco has survived his trip to Disney World. Let's find out.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Rocco. As you can tell by the looks of me, things ain't going so great, but that's known as a Disney hangover. 11 nights in Disney will do that to you. I'm telling you, we did all the parks and all that stuff. I tried hooking up with Big J. That didn't work out, but I think I'm going to have a solution to that problem at a later date because, you know, God forbid I have something on time right now. So I'm just going to say that Disney is a great place to bring your family if you don't have a family because kids are crazy. Those things will drive you crazy. I mean, I swear to God, I'm lucky we had a place that had a lounge, that had free booze and food every damn day. That was better than the parks, if you ask me. You say, hey, you want to go to Magic Kingdom? I'm saying, no, I want to go to the Magic Lounge and disappear for a little while. So I did, and it was great. Anyway, I ain't got much to say this week except that today is October 1st, 2023. You know what that means? It's the beginning of a new era of Rocco. I can't explain it, but you guys are going to be in for some treats. Yeah, that's right, I'm talking to you, Amber LeMay fans, and people who love Amber. All three of you. All right, anyway. Stuff's about to get real.
Thank you, Rocco. And I want to thank Danny Alias, Dwayne Scott Cerny, and Pickle for being guests tonight. I really enjoyed tonight's show, and I hope you did too. Until next week, Boog and Shoog, bring it on.
Can you believe summer is going by so fast? I've only been sunburned twice. You're blue. How can you tell? I turned purple.